So guys, a while back we had this kind of vision to get some of the guys in our church community to come together, just to literally share their story of faith, of grace, and why they decided to call TRC on. So we're hoping that this video and this collection of interviews and testimonies is gonna be a blessing to you. We call it My Story because we believe everyone has a story. And the great thing about being part of a faith community is that we get to air each other's stories and walk each other through the stories, but ultimately point to his story to see how our story pans out. And we just believe that you're going to be so blessed and so inspired by the amazing stories of authentic faith and just doing life with Jesus that you get from this amazing people. So we just hope that this video will touch your heart and it will motivate you and propel you to draw closer to God, to see how your story pans out.
He saved my life. He's made me see that my life is worth fighting for. That my son's life is worth fighting for. Before coming here, my life was a mess. I was on such a destructive path. I was doing wrong things, mixing with wrong people. I was trying to find peace and happiness in everything that was wrong. And one day I just asked for help. I said, I can't do it anymore. And he answered, and he's taken me in. And my life's not perfect, but I have peace. My
faith in Jesus has played a role in my life in that it allows me to, I don't really worry about things. I've witnessed a lot of interesting events and a lot of things that, get people down in life and stress people out, especially ones I love and stuff. But even when those things come my way and I have to deal with certain situations alone, it's like walking a tightrope.
This year I went through, oh God. Really, this year I went through some bad news. Well, not really bad news. I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And the faith that got me through was coming to church and the family that helped me with Nadia and everybody else. But it's not that, it's just coming to church. And I do remember it was when I was diagnosed, it was somewhere the end of April. And I remember coming to church and trying to be positive because, it was really, really hard, and praying to God and thinking, how am I going to get through this? But every Sunday I used to come to church and just praying and praying. And then I remember before my operation I had on the 12th of July, Pastor G, this speech. It was a speech to go beyond. And I remember that speech at Pastor G that says, wherever you're going through, you must go beyond.
Faith in Jesus has played a huge role in my life. I'm about to embark on my 25th anniversary since I accepted Jesus. And I've experienced a lot of stuff, some good, some bad, a lot of obstacles along the way. I think the consistent thing that I've held on to, and I think of some of my identity issues, who I am as a young man, where I came from, a lot of that stuff that some people had gone off the rails or had even mental health issues for less. I found holding on to Jesus and having that faith to be the rock, pun not intended, to be the consistent thing that kept me, stable, that kept me growing and kept me, in faith. So I found faith is essential, has been essential to me in knowing who I am, more importantly knowing who He is, and being able to continue this life walking with Jesus.
Until recently, it hasn't really played much at all. I guess I've always been quite spiritual, but never properly believed in God or Jesus or or anything like that. And it was only, you know, in the last year and a half where things have really accelerated. And now, you know, I'm still struggling with it, and I'm still learning, and I'm still very new to faith. But, you know, every day it plays more and more of a bigger part in my life. So one day I hope that, you know, I pray that I'll get to the stage where, you know, it does take, you know, front and center. You know, I'm working there. I'm still not perfect, but I'm getting there slowly.
I'll never forget when I thought it actually was going to be over, and I didn't think I'd wake up. And that was June 24th. And when he woke me up, and I woke up and I said, Lord, I'm alive. Because the day before I had imagined a funeral service, and I imagined not being there. And he showed me that he wasn't done yet. And everything I've been through and everything he allowed me to go through and to walk away from him was all for a purpose. And since then, I've never looked back. For the first time of 16 years of being a Christian, of knowing God, I really began to know Abba Father. I began to fall in love with him just as he was in love with me. I began to accept myself. And what's even more powerful is I'm learning to love my children. I'm learning to love them as I need to love them, as they need to be loved. But then knowing that that love purely comes from God. And that can only be found in the place of fellowship, when we can unconditionally feel his presence.
Grace to me is an unmerited love, an unmerited mercy, just getting things that I am undeserving of. And it's the favor that God has, or that God gives to me. Yeah, I think my acronym for grace is God remains a compassionate existence. And I say that because through everything that I've done that would hurt him, he still loves me.
It's something that God gives to us. It's not deserved. It's not anything that we could have done that could have given us his grace. He just gives it us because he loves us that much, which is quite an overwhelming concept, actually, the fact that there's nothing that we can do to earn it, and we can't earn more or less of it. It's just something he gives us as a gift.
The acronym for grace for us would be God's relentless abilities.
Cures emptiness.
Yeah.
And what it means to us, funny because we spoke about this last night about 2 o'clock in the morning, trying to work out how we're going to say it or what it means to us. I think for us it means second, third, fourth chances. You know, grace, we shouldn't take it lightly.
Absolutely.
And Selone said something very, very strong today about it in terms of mercy and grace. You know, if it was Old Testament days, we wouldn't be here and we wouldn't be standing here. Because to find a goat and a ram and to sacrifice that for first offering, for sin offering, impossible. But because of God, because of Jesus and what he had done for us, we have grace. That doesn't mean that you go out and you purposely do something or you purposely sin, but we are human and we will make mistakes on this journey, and that's where it's important to understand that God has you and that you don't count the wrongs. You know, especially in a marriage, you never count the wrongs, you just forgive and you move on and you wipe that slate clean, because tomorrow's never promised and you must remember that. So for us, grace is you live for today, but you live with his grace covering you, you live with his mercy covering you, and you live with that shield, that protectiveness that's constantly surrounding you.
Okay, well, my acronym is God's reoccurring anointing coming every day. It's every day is a new start. Starting already. It's a new start every day. And
It doesn't matter what happened yesterday. It doesn't matter what happened in the morning. It's just a new start every single time. When I think about his grace, when I think about his mercy, which I'm so unworthy of, I'm so filled with just gratitude. And that comes every day.
My favourite character in the Bible has to be Joseph in the Old Testament. Joseph just went through so much, and yet he was still so resilient and humble through it all. Being sold into slavery from his brothers, his own flesh and blood, to just fleeing from temptation, but then being wrongly accused. But he went through so much, but yet, you know, at the end of it, he came out on top because he ruled Egypt. And I think that's just absolutely amazing. And sometimes when God puts us through these trials and tribulations, sometimes we question so much, and like, why are we going through this? Why are we going through this? But there's always something deeper at the end of it. And sometimes there's that maturity, it's a growth process and a maturity process that he needs us to go through to make us come out on top, and Joseph went through that. And one of the things that struck me is when he did eventually reconcile with his brothers and help them, he actually said, you know, God has made me fruitful in the land of my suffering. And I think that's just so inspirational, and that's something that I always try to remember whenever I'm going through anything.
Okay, so I think my favourite character in the Bible would have to be Job, because he teaches me a lot about being patient and enduring. And Job came from a time where it was believed that when you do good, good things happen. And when you do bad, bad things happen. But that wasn't really the case in Job's case. And he had to learn the hard way that you can be blessed with and without. And I've been learning through him that it doesn't matter what's going on around me, it doesn't matter what my circumstances are, it doesn't matter what I have, it doesn't matter what I don't have. The blessings of God are still there. And it takes a lot to learn that. I'm not a patient person. And I will say that, you know, innit? I'm not naturally patient, so I've had to learn to be patient and wait on God. And just know that I'm blessed regardless of what I have and what I don't have. I'm blessed.
I'll be honest, I feel like every time either Pastor Selone or Pastor G opens their mouths, whether in front of the congregation or alone or in the office or on the phone, I feel like every single message is for me. Sorry. But I would say specifically, Clean Hearts, Dirty Hands was really, really powerful. All of the C3 series was really powerful. I'll be honest, all of it is so powerful. When I first attended church, whenever I would write sermon notes, I would always take them, and if PG would say, you know, trust in God, I would put trust in yourself, because I didn't have those feelings yet. And I think PG and Selone are so honest and so real. And they open up themselves to you so that you feel you can really be yourself. And all I know is that, and I didn't even realize that happening, wasn't conscious. I went from writing, you know, trust in yourself or trust in your character to trust in God. And like, instead of writing lead yourself, I started writing let God lead you. And I think that's really powerful because it wasn't even a conscious decision. It just happened, and yeah, I have to thank PG and Selone for illuminating something that I didn't even really know was there.
The message that I think that has impacted me the most is the message that we had, I think, 2 or 3 weeks ago about stewardship. And of course, when people think stewardship, it always starts a lot with money. And I mean, as a college student with like a makeup and clothes addiction, that was something that I really needed to hear, but also just thinking about stewardship in a whole different way. Like, it's not just about your money, it's not just about like finances, it's also about what are you doing with your time, how are you being a good steward with the things that God has provided to you. So always being grateful for what it is that God is giving you, but also using it in a way that you can give back to his kingdom as well. And so I think that message has
stuck with me because there's something that I can take from that every day, no matter what it is, making sure that I'm constantly showing God through my actions that I'm grateful for everything that He's blessed me with.
Personally, like Pastor G's words really resonate with me. There was a sermon like 2 years ago where he was speaking about Abraham and how everyone has a sort of Isaac in their life, right? That they need to sacrifice, that they need to give to God. And even things like that, like what I learned from that sermon and acting upon that sermon that same week, like I'm still reaping the blessings from that 2 years ago, you know? So it's nice knowing that I can have somewhere where it's like, where I enjoy fellowshipping with everyone, but where I also know that spiritually, like I'm being fed very, very well. Like the food here is great for you. And I think it's good to have that, because a lot of my friends, like my peers back in Manchester and stuff, it's either one or the other for them. Like you either have, which is unfortunate, but like they either seem to have like somewhere where they appreciate church because of the family, or where the fellowship isn't necessarily that great, but the word is there. So yeah, being at TRC, I feel blessed to have both of those in abundance.
The message that impacted me the most was probably a recent one, which was Pastor G's one on finances. And that really, I know that's a really random message to actually say that, yeah, this stuck with me. You'd think it would be something really big and grand. But it was really practical, it was really real. And for me, growing up, my parents always taught us to tithe. So even when we had pocket money, even though they already tithed on the pocket money, we still had to tithe on that. And obviously me and my sisters are like, why, when we're getting like a tenner, we have to give £1? But my mum and dad always instilled in us the principle of tithing from young. So it wasn't news to me that we had to tithe. But when we actually are talking about giving above and beyond and actually giving sacrificially, that was something that really, that message really challenged me with that, because I thought, oh, well, I'm doing fine. You know, I tithe, I give my offerings on Sundays. And I'm like, God, I'm cool. Like, I have literally money for rent and then that, and that's it. And how am I going to make like a £7? How am I going to make a £7 stretch for a £10 meal? Do you know what I mean? But that message really resonated with me, because it was like, it's God saying, do you trust me? It's not about the money anymore. It's actually, do you trust me enough to give above and beyond what you can physically see? Or just giving in faith, which is what we talked about today. So yeah, that's the message that really stuck out to me.
I got baptized in 2008. And instead of using that time to draw closer to God, I moved further away from Him. And then a year later, I had my daughter. And even though I could hear Him calling me, I was running in a different direction. So He told me to go left, and I was going right. And this was going on for a long while. I tried to stay in church. I was going to a different church, and I tried to stay in church. I was going because I felt like I had to go, like out of obligation kind of thing. And then just slowly but surely, I would miss 1 week, and then 1 week would turn into 2 weeks, and then 2 weeks would turn into a month. And then next thing I know, I just wasn't going. And a friend of mine, she was going through something quite similar, and she got herself back into church, and God really broke her down. And we hadn't spoken for a long time, and then when we started reconnecting again, she said to me, Harriet, God told me to tell you, or she said she wrote on a post-it note, and God said to her, go and get Harriet. Now, me and her haven't spoken for, at that point, we hadn't spoken for months. It felt like probably even a year. We hadn't spoken. And she said the message that she heard loud and clear was, go and get Harriet. And I was going through something quite difficult at the time. I was going through a really toxic relationship, and I knew that's not where God wanted me to be. And then Pastor Selone sent me a message, and she said, oh, Harriet, I've not seen you in a while. Why don't you just come down? It'd be good to see you. Because I've known Pastor Selone for a long time, and it was nice for her to reach out to me. So I thought, okay, like, let me just go. And I just knew immediately God was saying, this is where you need to be. If it's not in this place, it needs to be in a place where I can reach you, because you are too far from me. And if I let you go any further, it's going to be even harder to get you back. And I could hear it so clearly. So there's been loads of times where I've been far from him, but I think that time is when I felt it the most.
It's like being a part of a huge, huge family, loving family. I love the way you're welcomed when you come in, because you come in, somebody's there to greet you, somebody's there to hug you, and sometimes you go through a week without getting a hug from anybody or speaking to anyone you're sort of close to, and coming here and just getting that treatment and getting that feeling, that loved feeling, that I'm home feeling, that this is a place I want to be feeling. That's what it means to me.
Literally from the moment I walked in here, when I first came, I probably didn't even understand the messages. I didn't understand what was going on. It just felt like home. Sometimes, I travel a lot. So sometimes I'll go to a new place and I'll be walking around the streets and I'll be like, this is somewhere that I could make my home. This is somewhere, I could hang out at this, I could, sit at this park when it's a sunny day. I could have a picnic here. I could read my book here. And that was how I felt when I first came to TRC. I don't know what's going on. But this feels right. And I think that's why it's home.
I think it's the first place in terms of a religious or spiritual setting that's not made me feel uncomfortable. Other places are quite big establishments, or there's a lot of weight behind going to certain places like that. Whereas this, TRC, I didn't really come here with any expectations. I didn't really come here with any knowledge of anyone here. I just instantly felt very welcome.
TRC it's unlike anything that I've ever experienced. If you would have told me a year ago that I would be working and attending a church, I probably would have laughed at you. Even when I tell my friends now, they find it really, really strange, obviously for them, not for me. The easiest way to sum up TRC is home, and home's where the heart is. TRC is authentic and real, and people see you for who you really are, and that's indispensable and timeless.
Being a part of TRC has impacted my spiritual journey in a very major way. Just seeing what God has been doing in the ministry, it just helps to see, what God can do.
Definitely in regards to the people that are around you, especially in TRC, the Rock Church, you have friends who are always pushing you up and allowing you to be the best that you can be in different ways and formats.
I love it here, man. It's family to me. I think that, especially nowadays, for some people in the world, church has this, they view church through a certain lens. Even though they may have never visited a church in their life, there are just so many negative associations that people have with that word, especially young people. And I think that this is a house that sort of is evidence that church isn't all the things that people sometimes want it to be to justify whatever problems they have with the concept of religion or faith or whatever. So yeah, I love that everyone's so friendly. And yeah, it's just family, it's cool.
So I got involved coming in one Sunday, and I remember coming Sunday morning, coming to church, and the atmosphere and seeing Pastor G with his jeans on and top, normal, and I'm thinking, wow, this is not a church, it's just like a family, just getting together. And I could just see the unity, and I have to say thank you to the church, the Rock Church, and thank you to everybody and Pastor G, they've been amazing. I mean, I remember when I buried my mum and Pastor G was the one that sent off my mum. All my aunties, still now, they cannot believe it. What a place to be. It was just like a happy place because I knew that one day we were going to meet up again. It wasn't like a finishing place. So spiritually, I've become much stronger and I can face anything now. If I face what I face now, I can do anything now.
Being at TRC it almost feels like being at my church at home. Like it's somewhere that's comfortable. It's somewhere that I can feel confident going to every week just because I know that when I come, like I'm gonna hear someone preaching really sound doctrine. I'm gonna hear someone who's using the word, who's backing up everything they say with like scripture and evidence that actually makes sense. I think it's also just a really welcoming community. Like from the time I met Chloe and Pastor G at the Queen Mary's Freshers Fair, like just having such a warm welcome, especially since I knew that I wanted to come to London and find a church home, and I immediately felt like this was the right place.
So I guess for me, you know, and I guess, not for me, I guess for the people who call this place home, some of the reasons why they call TRC home is, I believe God draws them to our church. Also, they get to see how we are so, we allow ourselves to be vulnerable. We allow ourselves to be open with not just our victories, but some of our own struggles, you know, as Christians, as pastors, as husband and wife, as parents. You know, and I guess people like that and they can see themselves in that if we can navigate well what we go through, that also there's a chance for them. And yeah, so their story, our story, ultimately his story.
I think at TRC we try our best not to major in the minor stuff.
Yeah.
The what you wear, what your hair is like, if you read 7 million scriptures before you came. We have baby Christians and we have seasoned ones, but all are welcome and all are challenged and all are prompted to get deeper. The thing I love about TRC is that the atmosphere is Christ. And it's two imperfect people surrounded by a team of imperfect people working together diligently. 5 a.m. some people get up to be here just so that we could worship God in jeans and trainers. Nothing more, nothing less, and it be acceptable. Time is fast pressed, so I am grateful that he calls people like us everyday people, the people that if you spoke to people from our past, they would think, how did they get here? I got here because of God's grace and God's favor, and we didn't ask to be here. He called us, and even though it's been tough sometimes, we will stick to the call until beyond the grave. We learned today that a lot of the patriarchs listed in Hebrews 11 did not actually see the fulfillment of the thing that they had faith in. And that's where we are. I ask that he sustains us so that our faith continues beyond the grave. And that's what I'm seeing in the people here. And when I see them grow, and when I see them change, and I have those difficult days, and we have those difficult days, we remember why we do this and that is reward enough. If nothing else, I want to see Jesus. I want my feet to lift up off the ground. I want yours, and I want everyone in the whole world to.
Come on.
So we're trying to take this thing outside of the church. When you major in the minor stuff, you miss people. You miss hearts. You miss the opportunity to just relate on a level, on a one-to-one. I'm human. This is what he did for me. Give him a try. For me, faith is the only currency that I deal in. I don't have a plan B. Never have, never will. I've often looked very, very stupid because I've said Jesus will do it, and eventually he does.
This is home. This is home.
This is home.
This is home.
This is home.